welcome to Chapters and welcome to another important weekly current affairs revision session in which we cover the important current affairs from the examination point of view so that we can revise, retain, cover, and ensure that we are going to answer all the questions related to these current affair articles successfully in the upcoming examination of RBI Grade B officer exam. And that's why, my dear friends, I am back with another important session of the month of February 2026, where we will be covering the important news articles of 5th to 9th of February 2026. So, my dear friends, if I'm audible and visible to all of you, please give me a thumbs up in the chat box so that we can start with the today's session. So, good afternoon, Pratyush, and all the people who have joined us live today. So, please give me a thumbs up in the chat box if I am audible and visible to all of you so that we can start with the today's session. So, all the technicalities of the session are good and we are good to go with the today's session. So, my dear friends, till now, when it comes to the coverage of the current affairs, we have already revised the complete April month, right? We have revised 1st to 15th of May 2026, right? And additionally, we have covered the complete month of March 2026. And now we are moving on to the month of February. In the last session, the day before yesterday, we have covered the 1st to 4th of February 2026. And today we will be covering the 5th to 9th of February 2026. So I believe that everybody of you have already revised all these articles from examination point of view. If yes, please give me a thumbs up in the chat box that yes, we have revised, we have covered, and we have retained the examination point of view, all the important facts and figures. And we have also solved the MCQs that are required to be covered from examination point of view, right? So thank you for giving me the confirmations. So my dear friends, let's start with the today's session. And today we are going to cover the 5th to 9th of February 2026. So when it comes to the current affairs chapter, so we basically divided into two parts, that is relevant for both phase 1 and 2 and relevant for phase 1 only. When we talk about the articles which are relevant for phase 1 and 2, it covers those articles which are directly related to your syllabus, which includes reports, schemes, RBI notifications, ESI and finance current affairs, government initiatives. And then when we talk about the relevancy for the phase 1, it covers those articles which are only relevant for the phase 1 examination. That means which are not related to the syllabus, like sports, defense awards, exercises, and appointments, science and tech, and books and authors. Right? I hope everybody of you is having that clarity. And for the month of April, March, and May, we have covered all the articles. But for the month of February, we are only covering the phase 1 and 2 articles because they are more relevant for you from the examination point of view. So thank you, Pratush, Anirudh, and Sujit Kumar for giving me the thumbs up in the chat box that yes, all of you have revised each and everything. That's really great to see that you are not just covering the articles, you're not just attending the session, but you are also revising everything from examination point of view. Okay. Now, my dear friend, let's move on to the very first article of the today's session. And the first article is the certificate of origin for cultivated medicinal plants. So, my dear friends, in the previous sessions, we have discussed about the accessibility benefit sharing, right? So, what happens is, let's take an example that there were farmers in a particular village and they were cultivating some medicinal plants, right? And now there is a commercial company, it entered into the market and they basically purchased these plants from the farmers. Now, see, there can be the two things. One thing is that when the farmers are cultivating these medicinal plants, and the next thing can be that the local community was basically preserving a particular area of the forest where these medicinal plants are appearing on their own, right? So if a commercial company is entering into the market and it is basically making the use of these medicinal plants, then this company which is selling these products at a very expensive prices, now it is required to ensure that it is giving and sharing the benefits of whatever it has earned after the selling of these products to the local communities because they are responsible for the preservation of these products, these plants, right? And similarly, that is why we have to ensure that we are having this certificate of origin when they are being produced by the farmers. When farmers are producing them, then they have to take the certificate of origin that, okay, that's how these medicinal plants were being procured from and that's how they were being planted so that we can ensure that we are providing the required benefits to these people. And that is why, my dear friends, the National Biodiversity Authority under the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change has developed and operationalized a digital portal for this. So earlier what was there is basically these companies have to go here and there in order to ensure that yes, they are basically following all the standards and they are taking the all the permissions from all the XYZ departments of the government. But now what they have done is they have just launched a one portal from which they can do that. So the portal enables electronic issuance of the certificate of origin for stakeholders seeking access and benefit sharing exemptions for the cultivated medicinal plant. तो cultivated medicinal plants के cases में कुछ exemptions यहाँ पर इनको मिलती हैं and these can be directly taken electronically through with the help of this particular portal. It functions as a single window end-to-end online system for processing applications and issuing certificates. तो सर्टिफिकेट को इशू करना है या फिर एप्लीकेशन को प्रोसेस करना है, ये सारी चीजें आपकी इस पर्टिकुलर पोर्टल के थ्रू की जा सकेंगी. The Biological Diversity Act 2023 was passed by the Lok Sabha on 25th July 2023 and by the Rajya Sabha on 1st of August 2023, and Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change notified the biological diversity rules in 24-25 to operationalize the Amendment Act. Clear, everyone? So please tell me in the chat box what is the name of that authority in our country which has developed and operationalized the digital portal. What is the right answer? Let me see who will give me the right answer to this question. So my dear friends, can you please tell me the right answer to this question? So what is the name of that authority? The name of that particular authority is the National Biodiversity Authority. Absolutely, this is the right answer. So that's how we have to retain all these important things. And now what exactly can be done from there? What exactly can be done from there? So the people, the relevant stakeholders who are seeking the access and benefit sharing exemptions, they can apply through this portal and they can also be issued these particular certificates of origin. Clear? Absolutely right. Pratyush, Anirudh and Harshal, all of you have given me the right answer. That is National Biodiversity Authority. That is the right answer. Let's move on to the next news article. So India has joined the BRICS Center for Industrial Competencies. So India has joined BRICS Center for Industrial Competencies at an event organized by the Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, Ministry of Commerce and Industry in New Delhi. The BCIC was launched in partnership with the United Nations Industrial Development Organization. So my dear friends, let me tell you a very, very important part. Earlier, what was happening is when, let's take an example, we were having a factory, right? So in this factory, the machines which were being used, they were manually operated. They were manually operated, right? These machines were being used manually operated. Okay, but nowadays, what is happening? Nowadays, these machines are having the sensors, they are having the internet, and they are having the artificial intelligence embedded into it. So now these machines think of their own and they basically activates, they basically perform the operations according to the situation, right? Now we have to ensure that the workers who are working on these machines, they must be very skilled in nature and they should know that how exactly we can operate these machines so that proper productivity and efficiency is there. And this is what we call Industry 4.0, in which we are having in which the skill sets of these workers are really required in terms of all the smart modern techniques of the industrial arena. Clear, everyone? So now what happened is that let's take an example that there are so many MSMEs in our country who are having the factories, but they are not having this much of the skill sets. Now we thought that there was a group. Let's take an example, 10 people just met each other and they just thought that, see, this is also the problem with your company. See, same is the problem with mine workers as well. Now the other person is also saying the same. The other person is also saying the same. Now they realize that this is not just the problem of one company. This is basically an overall problem which exists in the MSME ecosystem and the industrial ecosystem. So they decided that why not we create a club, a common club through which we can provide these kind of facilities, the skill sets to the people so that they can train themselves there and then they can work accordingly as per the requirement of these machines. Understood? So now let's think that these 10 people that I talked about, these are not 10 people, but these are 10 countries. Clear, everyone? So my dear friends, similarly, let me tell you that the BRICS countries, they came together to create such kind of industrial competences center. the Center for Industrial Competencies, where these MSMEs can go, they can train themselves, and they can work according to the Industry 4.0 standards. Clear, everyone? That is why BCIC was being launched in partnership with the United Nations Industrial Development Organization. A trust fund agreement was signed between DPIIT and UNIDO, formalizing India's participation in the BCIC framework. So, a National Productivity Council has been designated as the India Center for BRICS Industrial Competencies. So, इंडिया की वो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन जो इन सभी एमएसएमईज को पुश करेगी वहां जाने के लिए उनका पूरा ब्यूरो रखेगी, राइट? व्हाट इज द नेम ऑफ दैट? दैट इज द नेशनल प्रोडक्टिविटी काउंसिल. Under the DPIIT's policy guidance and with the technical support from UNIDO, NPC will lead India's engagement with the BCIC. So, which companies will be going there? How exactly they will be visiting? What are the different skills on which they will be trained? So, all this monitoring will be done, and this encouragement will be done by the National Productivity Council because it is the India Center for BRICS Industrial Competencies. Right? So it will contribute to capacity building, productivity enhancement, and adoption of the advanced manufacturing practices among the MSMEs. BCIC functions as a one-stop center providing integrated support services to manufacturing competencies and MSMEs across the BRICS countries. So you can see here, it will be a one-stop center which will provide integrated support services. So whatever the services the manufacturing companies and the MSMEs they require, this will be provided at a one-stop solution center, that is your BCIC. Clear, everyone? BRICS Center for Industrial Competencies, that what BCIC stands for, and it will be focusing on the strengthening of Industry 4.0 competencies. Clear, everyone? So please tell me what is the full form of BCIC? That is the BRICS Center for Industrial Competencies, and which country has joined this group? That is India. Okay? So recently this event was taken place. Now please tell me that BCIC has partnered with which organization for ensuring the complete process and industrialization as per the Industry 4.0 standards of the MSMEs ecosystem and the manufacturing industries. This is UNIDO, United Nations Industrial Development Organization. And which organization has been designated as the India Center for BRICS Industrial Competencies? What is the right answer? My dear friends, it is the National Productivity Council. That is the right answer. Clear, everyone? Now let's try to answer these questions. Are you guys ready to answer these questions? If yes, please give me a thumbs up in the chat box. Are you people ready to give me the answer? Okay, so let's start with the very first news article, the certificate of origin for cultivated medicinal plants. So the dash under the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change has developed and operationalized a digital portal. What is the right answer? It is National Biodiversity Authority, right? It will be providing issuance of certificates of origin for stakeholders who are seeking ABS, that is the Access Benefit Sharing Exemption. It will function as a dash window end-to-end online system for processing applications and issuing certificates. It will be functioning as the one-stop single window, right? End-to-end online system for processing and operationalizing the Amendment Act. That's all. Let's move on to the next news article. India joins BCIC. What stands for? BCIC stands for BRICS Center for Industrial Competencies. A BCIC was launched in partnership with which organization? United Nations Industrial Development Organization. The fund trust agreement was signed between DPIIT and UNITO. The dash has been designated as the India Center for BRICS Industrial Competencies. What is the name of that organization? That is the NPC, National Productivity Council. The BCIC functions as the one-stop center providing integrated support services to manufacturing companies and MSMEs across how many countries? Across which countries? We are talking about the BRICS countries. Clear, everyone? Are you guys getting the point? So BRICS countries is the right answer. Absolutely right. Well done. Let's move on to the next news article. NE Race Portal operational. So what exactly NE Race Portal stands for? It stands for Northeastern Region Agri Commodity E-Connect Portal. Has made fully operational and connects farmers, FPOs, self-help groups, and cooperatives of the northeastern region with the buyers across the country. So, my dear friends, NE Race, it is the Northeast Region Agri Commodity E-Connect. See, what we are doing is, it is the Agri Commodity E-Connect. So, let me tell you that in the northeastern region, guys, we are having really very good crops, right? Of having the very good quality. But what happens is that earlier these people, these crop producers have to, go here and there, XYZ, ABC places to find the buyers for their crops so that they can get the best price and they can sell their produces to them, right? And they can move on to the next cycle of the crops farming. So, my dear friend, let me tell you a very important point here that the northeastern region agri commodity e-connect. So earlier they used to go here and there, right? And they used to find the buyers on their own. But now what they can do is, so government decided that okay, see, we are living in the 21st century, and why we are taking such kind of practices? Why not we just create a single portal where the people can list down all these details that okay, this is what we are providing to you, and then the buyers they can visit the portal and they can see that okay, these crops are being given by that XYZ person, this crop is given by that XYZ person. Okay, let's just connect. So from any part of the country, the people will be able to connect with these producer of the crops and they can purchase the parts. Clear? And this portal will also be providing the logistic help to these crop producers and the crop buyers for the proper transfer of the crops. Understanding it? So the northeastern region Agri E-Commodity E-Connect is fully operational and it connects the farmers and the farmer producer organizations, self-help groups, cooperatives of the northeastern region with the buyers across the country. The total value of sales facilitated through the portal stands at 895.56 lakhs. It provides buyer-seller matchmaking and logistics-related guidance through a multilingual help desk, field-level support, and state coordinators. These measures aim to strengthen digital market access and improve market preparedness of the farmers in Sikkim. So the people who are in the Sikkim, they will really be getting this particular part, right? They will be having the digital market access of this portal with the help of which they will be able to identify and find the respective prospective buyers for their produces. Clear everyone? Are you guys able to understand it? If yes, please give me a thumbs up in the chat box that yes, we are able to understand, right? What is the total value of sales which will be facilitated? That is the 895.56 lakh rupees. Clear? So what is the full form of NE raise? Please tell me in the chat box. What is the full form of NE raise? NE raise stands for, first of all, NE stands for Northeast. Very easy. Now, what exactly raise stands for? It stands for Region Agri Commodity E-Connect. So RACE, that is Region Agri Commodity E-Connect. That is the right answer. Let's move on to the next news article. That is the central government withdraws wheat stock limit order. Let me tell you, my dear friends, this is not important from the examination point of view, right? But let me give you a very small context because it is a very interesting context. You know what? See, during the festival season, you know that we are fond of sweets, so we eat a lot of sweets, right? What if at that point of time, and see, guys, whenever we talk about the sweets, most of the sweets are basically milk based, right? They are being used, the main ingredient is the milk byproduct in those sweets. So what if we curtail the supply of that particular product? What will happen? We won't be able to have those much of the seeds, sweets, right? So what if we say to all the vendors that okay, see, you can only have 20 kg of this material. So they will only be able to produce the sweets from the 20 kg, a limited amount. Let's take an example. The demand at that point of time was 100 kg per day. So they won't be able to fulfill that demand, right? But why exactly government provides this number? Government provides this number in the normal days. You can have only 20 kg because what happens is that people, which is basically there are some items which are more in the demand, people just stocks them, right? And what happens due to the high demand and the less availability, what happens? The prices increases, and that point of time they release this stock clearance. So in order to prevent this, government basically provides this particular limit. But now let me tell you, during the festival days, we need that limit to be increased so that the prices of that particular article is really not much of the high, right? And that is why, my dear friends, Government during these days says that okay, festival days are coming, so don't worry, you can stock unlimited because we know that you want to create the sweets so that you can distribute them to the people as it is a festival time, right? Similarly, my dear friends, let me tell you that during the festival days, there is a lot of demand of the wheat as well. And earlier, what was happening is in the normal days, also people stock the wheat. So, what happens is, as you know, wheat is really very important for us. It is a part of a daily diet, right? So, what if we are not having the wheat? What will happen? The demand will increase. The demand will increase. Then supply. With the lack of supply, what will happen? The prices of the wheat will also increase. So, to contain that, government basically comes up with the wheat stock limit order. So this order was basically launched on 27th of May 2025 to ensure, but now the government of India has withdrawn this order to ensure adequate availability before the upcoming festive season. Clear everyone? Now I would like to request all of you to please ensure that you are going through this article on your own. The major context of the article I have already told you, right? But let me again tell you that this is not that much important from examination point of view. Clear everyone, my dear future RBI officers? Everything is clear? Now let's move on to the next news article. So the terms of reference has been signed for India GCC free trade agreement, right? So India GCC free trade agreement, guys, I always told you in so many of the sessions when we have covered the FTAs that why exactly the FTAs are being launched, why exactly they are being signed, so that there is a proper flow of goods and services between the two countries, right? There is a no trade barriers, the less duties are there, so that we can increase the flow of the goods and services between the two countries, right? Now let's take an example of two shopkeepers, right? The two shopkeepers, and they basically decided to have a deal with each other, and they said that okay, so the items of your shop that are coming to my shop, right, I will be reducing the duty on these particular articles. What is the duty, my dear friends? So whenever we are exporting any product from one country to the another, or we are importing any product from a country to the another country, right? So what happens is we have to pay the duty. Clear everyone? That is that additional amount to the price of that particular product. Clear? So now this shopkeeper one says that okay, I am bringing your products to my own shop, right? So please, there will be less duty on it, right? And now I will also be sending my products to you. So to my products, I am requesting you to please provide me the better market access. Now, whenever they want to sign such kind of deal, they will basically well decide that when we will be making the final deal, what are the different topics that we will be discussing, right? So that we can ensure that all the points we are closing and we are having a very good deal. For example, my dear friends, that before taking this session, I am always preparing all the topics, right? And I am ensuring that okay, these are the topics that I will be discussing in the today's session. If we are not doing that, what will happen? Either I will be ending up wasting your time also and my time also in deciding the topics which should be covered or not, right? So this will not be that much efficient for you as well as for me, and that is why we have to ensure that we are not doing this particular part from exam, right? Similarly, when the two partners are going to make a deal, so before signing the deal, they basically do the homework that okay, these are the XYZ topics that we will be discussing while we will be finalizing the deal. And these topics are called, these terms are called the terms of reference. So the terms of reference for the India and Gulf Cooperation Council Free Trade Agreement has been signed. So India is going to have a free trade agreement with the Gulf Cooperation Council, and for that they have signed a terms of reference between the Department of Commerce and Secretariat General of the Gulf Cooperation Council. So now this reference document will be guiding the negotiations by defining the scope and modalities of the proposed FTA. That what are the different products that we will be, sharing with each other. What exactly will be the duties? What will be the market accessibility that we will be providing to the other products? So all these things will come under the terms of reference that okay, these are the points on which we will be focusing upon during this FTA agreement. The signing marks the commencement of negotiations towards a mutually beneficial FTA. The FTA aims to bring predictability and stability in the trade, enable seamless flow of goods and services that I have already discussed with you. Now, why exactly it is important, my dear friends? Why India is having this FTA agreement with the GCC? Because India's trade with GCC stood at $178.56 billion in the 24-25, right? Which is 15.42% of the India's global trade. If India will be selling the products more freely in the Gulf Cooperation Council, then it will be a win-win situation for India, right? And when it comes to GCC, it represents a market of 61.5 million people. So we are targeting a very big market for our products, right? And at present, it ranks ninth globally. So that's why we are focusing on this free trade agreement with the Gulf Cooperation Council, right, my dear friends? So you will always love to join those sessions and be in connect with those people who always help you in something, right? If let's take an example, if I was not giving you any knowledge, I was not giving you any good information, then why you will be coming here everyday basis to attend the sessions? You won't be coming here, right? So that is similarly, India is already having a very high valued bilateral relation with the GCC, a bilateral trade relation, right? And now we want to take it to the next level. And that's why we are having the terms of reference for the FTA agreement between India and GCC. Clear, everyone? Are you guys able to understand this part from the examination point of view? Let's try to answer the questions now. So please quickly tell me that what exactly the NE race stands for. NE stands for Northeast, right? And race stands for Region Agri Commodity E-Connect. That is the right answer. These measures aim to strengthen the digital market access and improve market preparedness of the farmers in which state? In the state of Sikkim. That is the right answer. Here now terms of reference for the India GCC Free Trade Agreement were signed between the Department of Commerce and Secretariat General of the GCC, that is the Gulf Cooperation Council. And this terms of reference has been signed, right? When it comes to India's trade with the GCC, my dear friends, it was $778.56 billion. Now, can you guys please tell me that this accounts for how much of the India's global trade? It is around 15.4% of the India's global trade. And that is why India is focusing so much on this particular free trade agreement. Understood? Understood, my dear friends? I can see in the chat box, Harshal, Anirudh, and Pratyush have given me the right answer. Well done, my dear friends. Let's move on to the next news article now. So the government revises the Startup India recognition framework. As you all know that we are having a Startup India program in which we provide the better ecosystem and the services to nurture and scale up the startups of the nation, right? So now Government of India has decided to revise the framework of the Startup India recognition framework. Now, what exactly is the changes we have brought up here? So that's what we are going to discuss. See, as you know, all know that right now the startup culture has really got changed. Right now you can see that we are focusing on to the deep tech startups also. What are the deep tech startups? Deep tech startups are, for example, let's take an example, my dear friends, that we came up with the idea of chapters, right? So we made a website, we created a portal for you, we created a YouTube channel, Telegram channel, right? And we made the content for you. We provided it to you on the platform. And this content that we are bringing, also we are see, although we are doing the research on that also, which part is important for the exam, which part is not important for the exam, what is required to be provided to you, what is not required to be provided by you, right? So this is, basic research is there, right? But yes, we do research when we are required to teach these things to all of you in the class. That part basically requires a research. But let's take an example that there is a another new company which has been created, and this new company is basically a company which is going to, work on the space activities, okay? And it will be working on the artificial intelligence chips. So, my dear friends, do you really think that the type of research that we are doing in these chapters is the same research that these companies will be doing? Answer is no. Because they need really more time to do the research. They will be creating a model, they will be creating a prototype, they will be testing it, they will be checking it. There will be huge amount of investment in there, and then only after that they will be able to capitalize on them, right? And that's what we call the deep tech startups, where we are using a lot of technology, lot of research. It can be related to we let's take an example that we are creating a medicine. Like COVID-19 came, so we created a medicine for that. We created a vaccine for that. So basically, it really requires a lot of research into it. Right, my dear friends? I hope that you are getting it. So the government has revised the startup recognition framework to strengthen the Startup India Action Plan and promote India as a global innovation and manufacturing hub. तो अभी सिर्फ मैकेनिकल वर्क नहीं रहा, अब इनोवेशन और मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में बहुत ज्यादा इनोवेशन आ चुके हैं. ठीक है. The framework aims to create a more predictable, inclusive, and future-ready policy environments and facilitate long-term patient capital in high technology and research-intensive sectors. तो जो हमारी लॉन्ग टर्म पेशेंट कैपिटल है हाई टेक्नोलॉजी के अंदर एंड रिसर्च इंटेंसिव सेक्टर्स हैं, उनके लिए हमें थोड़ा सा फ्रेमवर्क में बदलाव लाने होंगे. देयर इज अ नीड ऑफ द आर टू चेंज ब्रिंग दोस changes to the requirement of this startup. Now, the turnover limit of recognition as a startup has been increased from 100 crore to reach 200 crore. Of the turnover limit, so guys, what was happening is there are so many startups in our country which were surpassing the value of the turnover of rupees 100 crores. So what was happening is that we were stopping the support that we were providing to them. So what happens earlier we were giving them the support. Now we stop the support, so they might fall. So now we have that's why so that they are getting the continued support. We have now increased the limit to 200 crore. So that even if they have crossed the 100 crore now till 200 crore, they will be able to get the support from the government. And a new subcategory of deep tech startup has been introduced. So guys, two things are there. One is the turnover limit has been increased. The other thing is the new subcategory has been launched, that is the deep tech startup. Right? For the deep tech startup, the age limit has been increased from 10 years to the 20 years. See guys, earlier we covered the part, right? So earlier also we covered about the Startup India scheme, right? So we covered that okay, 10 years is the limit if a company can be called a startup. Now for the deep tech startups, we have extended the timeline from 10 years to 20 years. Clear everyone? So Harshal, that was from the, this part only, right? February only. So we are moving ahead into the February. So that's where you can see that there will be a little bit upgradation in the previous topics. Yes, absolutely right. Earlier it was 10 crore, 10 years and less than 100 crore. But now see, the tenure for the deep tech startups has now increased for the up to 20 years because they need some long term investment and the support for bringing the desired results. Clear everyone? And now we have also increased the turnover limit up to rupees 200 crore so that we can provide them support. Now the turnover limit for the deep tech startups has been enhanced to 300 crore. Now what is the limit for the deep tech startups? It is 300 crore rupees. Startup recognition eligibility has been extended to multi-state cooperative societies registered under the Multi-State Cooperative Societies Act 2002 and cooperative societies registered under the State and Union Territory Cooperative Act subject to the other applicable criteria. The revised framework is based on consultations with the ministries, departments, and ecosystem stakeholders. The change will expand access to the startup benefits, support deep tech ventures, and with the longer development timelines. Now, guys, there are two changes that we have created. Now, please quickly tell me in the chat box that what exactly are these two changes that have been brought here. So, what are the two changes that we have brought here? Quickly tell me in the chat box what are the two changes that we are required to brought here. So in the startups, first of all, we have increased the turnover limit from 100 crore to 200 crores. One thing. Second thing is we have come up with the new category of deep tech startups. For the deep tech startups, what is the timeline? The age limit for that has been increased from 10 years to 20 years. And the turnover limit for the deep tech startups also increased to 300 crores. Clear everyone? Let me tell you very, very important part that these changes can be asked in the upcoming examination. So please ensure you are revising them clearly. Clear everyone? So the startup recognition eligibility has been now extended to the multi-state cooperatives registered under the Multi-State Cooperatives Act 2002 and cooperative societies registered under State and Union Territory Cooperatives Acts. Now clear Move on to the next article, developments of homestays in the tribal areas. My dear friends, you all know that whenever we are going to the mountain areas for, spending our good time, good holidays time, right? So earlier, what was there that we used to stay in the hotels, right? But now what is really there? So in order to, bring the change in the income of the people who are living and who are the residential areas in the mountains, what we have we have came up with the homestay, where basically you can stay at a home of a particular person. They will be providing you the food, resting facilities. You can stay there and you can enjoy your stay at that particular mountain area. Clear, everyone? So you are also connecting with the culture. You are enjoying the homemade food, and you will be more secure, and you will be having a healthy facilities there, right? So that's why government came up with the concept of the homestays, and this is really, let me tell you, that revolutionizing the tourism culture in the country. So let me tell you that in the tribal areas now we have come up with the concept of homestays. So Ministry of Tourism has launched development of homestays in the tribal area during the financial year 25-26. The scheme is a sub-scheme of the Swadesh Darshan under the Pradhan Mantri Janjatiya Unnat Gram Abhiyan. So in the Pradhan Mantri Janjatiya Unnat Gram Abhiyan, guys, we have already covered that we focus on the tribal areas. So objective is to tap tourist potential of the tribal areas and provide alternative livelihood opportunities to the tribal communities. Now the tribal communities livelihoods are basically dependent upon their local producers, right? Because they are not that much, educated. They are staying away from the community. So basically what we are doing is providing another, alternative for the livelihood opportunities to the tribal communities, right? We are providing them alternate sources of income. So what they will be doing is they will be helping the people, the tourists, to rest at their own places, provide them food, and they will be able to earn from that part. Clear, everyone? So for the tribal areas, we came up with the concept of development of homestays under which scheme, Swadesh Darshan scheme. It is a sub scheme of Swadesh Darshan scheme under which scheme, Pradhan Mantri Janjati Unnat Gram Abhiyan. Now it will promote community-based responsible tourism and cultural exchange, offering the authentic tribal rural experiences while ensuring socio-economic benefits to the local populations. It includes capacity building interventions such as skill development, promotion of sustainable and responsible tourism practices, and marketing support for the tribal homestays. So market support मिलेगा, रिस्पॉन्सिबल टूरिज्म प्रैक्टिसेस को फॉलो करने का स्किल सेट मिलेगा, स्किल डेवलपमेंट होगा उनका. सो दैट्स व्हाई वी आर प्रोवाइडिंग देम द बेटर लाइवलीहुड अपॉर्चुनिटीज. अब दोस्तों यहाँ पर फाइनेंशियल सपोर्ट भी देखने को मिलेगा. नाउ व्हाट इज दैट? सी, one is the village community requirements. Village community requirement के लिए government will provide the funding of up to rupees 5 lakh rupees, right? So for example, my dear friends, I am going to a particular area, okay, and we are going to a particular area. We need to reside in the home, in the room. We need a room to stay there to accommodate ourselves, right? So this household uh, was earlier having only two rooms in their house, but now they decided that okay, I will be launching a homestay. So I need to have two rooms again, additional two rooms, at least two rooms in my home so that I can make people stay here. I make tourists stay here. So for that, we need to create the two rooms. For that, they will be providing with the funding support of up to rupees 5 lakhs. Now, if they want to renovate their existing rooms for each household, then what will be there? We will be providing them the support of up to rupees 3 lakh for renovation of existing rooms for each household. Getting it? समझ पा रहे हैं दोस्तों इस चीज को? So this will really help them to renovate their houses, to construct two new rooms, and they can definitely make the money out of there. So that is what the very beautiful concept of homestays in our country. Clear? So guys, please remember that what is the funding support that we are providing to for the village community requirement 5 lakhs, for two new rooms 5 lakhs, for existing room renovation 3 lakh rupees. That's all. So the project was approved in the five states, that is Andhra Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Mizoram, Uttarakhand, and UT of Ladakh. So guys, please ensure you are remembering this, because at times, so many times we see that there is a question that which are the pilot states from which the project was been approved. So basically, these five states where it has been approved is Andhra Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh. तो दो प्रदेश हैं, एक मिजोरम, उत्तराखंड and UT of Ladakh. That is the right part. Now, when it comes to the Pradhan Mantri Janjatiya Abhiyan, so that is basically launched in 2024 with the objective of ensuring holistic and saturation-based development of tribal villages across India. It primarily targets scheduled tribe-dominated villages, including areas inhabited by the particularly vulnerable tribal groups and tribal households lacking basic infrastructure. Implemented under the Ministry of Tribal Affairs, it focuses on bridging critical gaps in the basic infrastructure. So, guys, we have already discussed all of this part, right? So, what we are doing is we are helping the basic infrastructure, right, by providing them funding support for the creation of the two new rooms and the renovation of the existing rooms. Then this will be under which ministry? We are talking about which area, tribal area. So Minister of Tribal Area will be working there, and we are going to primarily target which dominated villages, the villages which are dominated by the scheduled tribe population and the PVTGs. It is a particularly vulnerable tribal groups and the tribal households. Clear all? So this part is clear to everyone. I believe that now let's move on to the questions. So Government of India revised the Startup India Recognition Framework. So my dear friends, now I want all of you to give me the answers to these questions. So the government has revised the Startup Recognition Framework to strengthen the Dash plan. Which plan they are talking about? Startup India plan. The turnover limit for recognition as a startup has been increased from 10 crore to rupees 20 crore. 10 crore से 20 crore कर दिया गया. A new subcategory of Dash, which new subcategory has been launched? Deep tech startup has been introduced for entities working on the cutting edge and breakthrough technologies. For the deep tech startup, the age limit has been extended from 10 years to how many years? To 20 years. Absolutely right. Now, the turnover limit for deep tech startups has enhanced to which amount? 300 crore rupees. Absolutely right. Startup recognition eligibility has been extended to which societies? Multi-state cooperative societies. Absolutely, this is the right answer. Everybody of you, Harshal, Anirudh, Pratyush, everybody has given me the right answer. Now, moving on to the next article, the development of homestays in the tribal areas. The Ministry of Dash launched the development of homestays in the tribal areas. What is the name of the ministry? Ministry of Tribal Areas. Ministry of Tribal Areas, right? Now, the scheme is a sub scheme of which part? That is the Swadesh Darshan scheme under the Pradhan Mantri Janjatiya Unnat Gram Abhiyan. So what is the funding support that we are going to provide for the village community requirements? 5 lakh rupees. What is the funding support for construction of two new rooms? 5 lakh rupees. What is the support for renovation of existing rooms? That is 3 lakh rupees. Absolutely right. Now the PMJUGA was launched in which year? Please tell me in which year it was launched, under which we are primarily targeting the dash dominated villages, that is the scheduled tribe dominated villages, and having the primarily PVTG, that is the particularly vulnerable tribal groups, which is implemented under the Ministry of Tribal Affairs. It was launched in 2024. Absolutely right. Well done, everyone. So are you guys able to ensure that yes, you are able to retain all the important information from examination point of view? Are you people able to understand these articles? So that's how if we are covering these articles, guys, it really becomes very, very easy for us, right? Now let's move on to the next article. The Minister of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare has signed an MOU with the Department of Post. So guys, the Minister of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare signed MOU with the Department of Post to operationalize a standardized, faceless and a fully traceable logistic mechanism for transportation and quality control of samples of the seeds, fertilizers and pesticides. My dear friends, let's take an example that you were appearing in the examination. It was a written examination that we used to have in the school days, right? And now your copy is required to be sent to the evaluator to be evaluated, and then he will be giving the marks to you. But let's take an example that I was the one who was carrying your copies, and during carrying your copies, what I did is that somehow I just removed some answer sheets from every answer sheet that you have provided. For all the 10 people, your two or three answer sheets, I have just, cleared it from your answer sheets. So, will you be able to get the proper result in this scenario? Answer is no, because now your answer sheets have got damaged and you won't be evaluated for those questions that you attempted in those areas, right? So this is really a big problem. Let me tell you that this was also the problem with the samples of the seeds, fertilizers, and the pesticides. Because when they were transported, so what was happening is the damage was being caused to these seeds, fertilizers, and pesticides, and there was a delay in the delivery of these samples. So what was happening? So these seeds got failed, these fertilizers samples got failed, these pesticide sample got failed, right? So in order to ensure that this does not happen again, we came up with the idea, and Minister of Agriculture Farmer Welfare first of all thought that what is the best reliable network on which we can rely for the transport of these sample of seeds, fertilizers, and pesticides. That is the India Post. So they signed an MOU with the Department of Post. The first problem was logistic. We just cleared that logistic problem, right? So basically, what we did is that under this MOU, we operationalized the standardized phases and fully traceable logistic mechanism for the transportation and quality control of samples of seeds, fertilizers, and pesticides. The system ensures secure, time-bound, and tamper-proof movement of the samples from collection points to designated laboratories. दोस्तों आपकी आंसर शीट सही सलामत पहुंचानी थी, टाइमली बेसिस पर पहुंचानी थी, राइट? So now the same thing we are doing with the fertilizers, pesticides, and seed samples. So that's why this particular MOU has been signed between Minister of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare and the Department of Post. I hope this is clear to everyone. Now, my dear friend, let's move on to the next article, that is the Sathi portal. Now, what exactly the Sathi portal is all about? So, Government of India has launched the Sathi portal, that is a seed authentication, traceability, and holistic inventory. So, Government of India has came up with the seed authentication, traceability, and holistic inventory portal. That is the Sathi portal, which enables end-to-end digital traceability of seeds across the supply chain. Clear, everyone? So the portal enables end-to-end digital traceability of seeds across the supply chain to enhance transparency and prevent circulation of the spurious or substandard seeds. So guys, let's take an example that you are ordering something from the Amazon, right? And whenever we place any order on any e-commerce website, what is the first thing that we do? So we always keep the track when exactly I will be getting this product, because we are having that curiousness and excitement about that new product. For example, I have ordered new shoes from Amazon or from Myntra. So I will be very curious and excited that okay, when these shoes are going to come so that I can use it. Let's take an example. I have basically ordered a new writing tab because right now I am facing a difficulty in writing things on the screen, right? So let's take an example. I have ordered a writing pad for all of you, so which I can use during the session. So I will be very, very excited that okay, I will be writing it with this handwriting. I will be enjoying this particular process. It will be good for the students as well, right? So what I do in order to track it, I always keep a view on the track. Okay, where exactly it has reached. It has been dispatched. Now it has been transported from one place to the another. Now it has reached my place. Now it is out for the delivery. And tomorrow at 9 a.m. in the morning, I will be getting this product, right? So this curiosity is always there. Similarly, my dear friends, let me tell you what happens that if we are not having this kind of complete supply chain information. So we don't know that from where exactly this has been taken and now it has been just given to me. I am not aware of anything. But if now we are having already that yes, the part that we have ordered is coming from this place only from which I have basically ordered, and it is not coming from any other seller. For example, I have ordered the burger and of the MACD. So, but the person who is carrying the burger, he is bringing it for me from any local shop, not of the MACD. So I won't be happy with that. Similarly, my dear friends, what was happening is when it comes to the seeds, right? A lot of times what happened was that fake seeds are being supplied. So we have to ensure that to remove this fakeness, we came up. So farmers का साथ देने के लिए गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया came up with a साथी portal. So government of India launched the seed authentication, traceability and holistic inventory portal. The portal enables end-to-end digital traceability of seeds across the supply chain. It enhances the transparency and prevents circulation of the spurious or substandard seeds. The government issued advisories to all the states and UTs to strictly implement the existing legal framework and increase vigilance at the storage points and sale points of the dealers and retailers. Clear everyone? So government has issued the advisory to all the states to strictly implement the existing legal framework. तो सभी को लीगल फ्रेमवर्क फॉलो करना होगा, विजिलेंस बढ़ानी होगी स्टोरेज पॉइंट से और सेल पॉइंट्स पे. These measures are aimed at checking the sale of spurious and substandard seeds so that कि हमें हाई क्वालिटी सीड्स और ओरिजिनल सीड्स मिले, ना कि कोई सब स्टैंडर्ड और स्परियस सीड्स मिले. The provision under the Protection of the Plant Varieties and Farmers' Rights Act 2001 and Biological Diversity 2002 support conservation and sustainable use of traditional and farmers' varieties. The farmers have the right to save, use, sow, resow, exchange, share or sell their own saved seeds. अब फार्मर्स को राइट दिया गया है कि आप अपने सीड्स को सेव कर सकते हैं, यूज कर सकते हैं, इनको सो कर सकते हो, एक्सचेंज कर सकते हो, शेयर कर सकते हो या सेल कर सकते हो. Clear everyone? So all these flexibilities are being provided to the farmers. So what is the full form of Sati? Please quickly tell me in the chat box. What exactly Sati stands for? What exactly Sati stands for? Sati stands for the Seed Authentication, Traceability and Holistic Inventory Portal. Clear everyone? That is the right answer. Are you guys able to understand it? SATI stands for Seed Authentication, Traceability and Holistic Inventory Portal. Absolutely right. Well done. So the provision under the Protection of Plant Varieties and Farmer Rights Act 2001 and the Biological Diversity Act 2002 support conservation and sustainable use of traditional and farmer varieties. So that's all from this article. Let's move on to the next article. The National Self-Reliance and the Pulses Mission launched from Amlaha, Madhya Pradesh. Now, my dear friends, you all know that the pulses are very good source of what? Protein. And protein is really very important for us. And in the young age at which you are, there are so many people who are enthusiasts of the bodybuilding. They need a good amount of protein. And not just them, but everyone, every person requires a good amount of protein in the healthy diet so that the person is having a healthy body and healthy mind. Right, my dear friends? So we need that protein. Now let's take an example. In our country, there is a demand of 100 units of protein, right? But we are only having 30 units of protein and we are dependent on the remaining 70 units from the outside country. So we are importing it from the outside countries. Clear? So that means if the next day that other country just denies that, okay, I'm not going to give you the protein, I'm not going to give you the pulses. So what will happen? What will happen? How exactly the Indian population will survive without this protein? It will be really problematic for the entire population, right? Or the people who are not able to afford that high valued protein, now the expensive protein because of the lack of supply. So that is why, my dear friends, government of India just decided that why not? Because as this is really so much important, why not we build it in our own country? Why don't we produce it in our own country? So hey farmers, we are helping you. Do ensure that you are producing the pulses in a large amount and we will be providing you the support for that. हमारा full support है आपको. आप बस pulses को उगाओ. That's it. So that is the reason to make India self-reliant on the pulses. Government of India came up with the National Self-Reliance and the Pulses Mission, and this has been launched from Amlaha, Madhya Pradesh. So my dear friends, इसे अमलाहा मध्य प्रदेश से लॉन्च किया गया. इट इज अ नेशनल सेल्फ रिलायंस इन द पल्सेस मिशन. So the nationwide pulses initiative was launched at Food Legume Research Center from Madhya Pradesh during the National Pulses Consultation and Strategy meeting. The roadmap for self-reliance in the pulses mission was finalized with the objective of making India self-reliant in pulses, reducing imports, move towards becoming an exporter of pulses. तो अब हम क्या कर रहे हैं? हम सिर्फ सेल्फ रिलायंट नहीं हो रहे. We are becoming the self-reliant, we are reducing the imports and we are moving towards becoming an exporter of the pulses. हम export भी कर रहे हैं pulses को, हम imports को reduce भी कर रहे हैं and we are also self-reliant in the pulses. Clear everyone? Are you guys getting it? So under the mission, the emphasis on the center-state partnership will be given. States will prepare separate roadmap as per their requirements. तो सेंटर स्टेट पार्टनरशिप होगी और स्टेट्स अपना सेपरेट रोड मैप बनाएंगे. ऐसा नहीं कि हर एक बच्चे के लिए द टीचर इज गोइंग टू प्रिपेयर द रोड मैप. नो, We are having the partnership with you. You will be making your own strategy. We are helping you to create your own strategy, right? So that's what we are talking about here. So under the mission, guys, this is missing is basically a typo error here. It is the mission. Okay. So Madhya Pradesh has been declared the current year as a farmers welfare year because it has been started from the Madhya Pradesh. So Madhya Pradesh is thinking that why not we just declare an year for the farmers. So we are having a farmers welfare year this year. The government focuses on entire value chain from the seed to the market under the Pulses mission. So basically, we are having the focus on entire value chain, seed से लेकर market तक, right? We are going to promote the pulses. Clear? We will be promoting cluster-based production model. Farmers in the clusters will receive seed kits and rupees 10,000 per hectare assistance for the model farming. तो फार्मर्स को हम सिर्फ सीड किट्स नहीं देंगे, we will be providing them rupees 10,000 per hectare assistance so that they can adopt the model farming. और कोई भी सीड माय डियर फ्रेंड्स दिल्ली से नहीं भेजा जाएगा. So you all know that कि दिल्ली के अंदर पार्लियामेंट है, right? So people just think that कि we will be sending the seeds from, we will be getting everything from the Delhi onwards. No, I told you there will be center state partnership, but states have to do it on your own, right? So farmers, so basically, farmers will not be getting the seeds directly from the Delhi. These will be distributed by the state governments on their own. So no seed will be released centrally from Delhi. Seeds will be distributed in the states directly among farmers under the new seed reform and distribution system. Clear, everyone? The research institutions working on the improving productivity of masoor, chickpea, urad, pigeon, pea, moong, redevelopment of the early maturing, improved and disease-free varieties. Now, my dear friends, there is establishment of 1,000 pulse mills across the country under the cluster model. So हमने बात की कि हम cluster model का use करेंगे. We will be helping these farmers to adopt the model farmings. We will be providing them the funding support. So there are 1,000 pulse mills across the country बनाई जाएंगी under the cluster model. What we want to do with this, we want to ensure fair prices to the farmers, promote local processing and value addition. We are not like we will be creating big MNCs for this. No, we will be making the clusters of the farmers so that हम उनको better pricing provide कर सकें, local processing को और better कर सकें, and we can provide good value addition. And we can also increase the employment generation and the farmers' income with the help of this step. The government of India will be providing subsidy up to rupees 25 lakh for the setting of pulses mills. तो pulse mills बनाने के लिए कितना सब्सिडी दिया जाएगा? 25 लाख रुपीस तक का. 55 pulses कहाँ बनेंगे? मध्य प्रदेश में बनेंगे. Now the clear assurance that international agreements will not affect interest of the Indian farmers. So my difference, what happens is, let's take an example. The government of India says to the farmers that hey farmer, please produce the pulses, right? And on the other hand, the government of India signing a partnership with the New Zealand for the pulses import. So this will be, a kind of backstabbing for the farmers, right? Why? Because at one point of time you are telling farmers to produce it, and then you are signing an MOU with a different country for the pulses so that we can import their pulses. So government has said that we are not going to do this now, right? We won't be doing this kind of thing. We will not be taking any step which will be impacting your interests of the Indian farmers. So major agriculture dairy products safeguard like maize, wheat, rice, soybean, poultry, milk, paneer, ethanol, tobacco, vegetables, and other sensitive products will not be imported from America. Right? So now from now onwards, we won't be importing from America. And see guys, with this, what is happening is that now they are inducing the responsibility also among the farmers that you have to now ensure, now the baton is in your hand, that you have to produce the crop because the entire country is relying on you. Right, my dear friends? It's a kind of a, my dear friends, an IPL match where the batsman is, batting at the end, and the team needs 15 runs from the last four deliveries. And the team says that we are not going to send any foreign players now on the crease. Hey, my Indian player, only you are now responsible for making the team win. The entire franchisee, the entire fraternity fan base is basically having the eyes on you only for making team win. So that's how we are basically inducing the responsibility among the farmers as well. There will be reduction of duties to nearly 18% in the certain markets and zero for the select items. expected to expand export opportunities in the textile, leather, footwear, plastic, rubber, chemicals, generic medicines, gems, jewelry, and the aircraft parts. The agriculture exports such as basmati rice and spices expected to benefit previous exports mentioned at around 63,000 crores. So, my dear friends, we are going to take some good steps for the agricultural exports of the basmati rice and spices. We are reducing the duties so that कि यहाँ पर हमें help मिल सके. Because whenever we are exporting something, again we have to pay the duty, right? अगर वो duty high होगी तो again it will be sold at a bigger price in the outside countries, and they will also not like this way. So that is why we have to ensure that we are having the less duty so that we can provide a competitive price in the foreign market also. Clear, everyone? So please quickly tell me in the comment section. The National Self-Reliance and the Pulsars mission has been launched from the which state? Please tell me in the chat box. What is the right answer? The right answer is Amlaha Sehor district of Madhya Pradesh. Absolutely right. Now we are coming up with the making India self-reliant in pulses, reduces imports, and move towards becoming an exporter. Now, which state has declared this year as the Farmers Welfare Year? The right answer is Madhya Pradesh again. We will be creating farmers in the clusters, and they will be receiving what? They will be receiving the seed kits and rupees 10,000 per hectare assistance to adopt model farming. And how many seeds will be released centrally from the Delhi? No seeds will be released centrally from Delhi. Seeds will be distributed in the states directly among farmers. How many pulse mills will be established across India? That is 1,000 pulse mills will be established across India. And government of India will be providing subsidy to what amount for setting up the pulse mills? That is 25 lakhs Sakhi subsidy they will be getting. And how many pulse mills will be created in Madhya Pradesh? That is 55 pulse mills. Absolutely right. Well done, Harshal, Pratyush, and Anirudh. All of you have given me the right answer. Now let's try to answer this question from here. So please quickly tell me in the chat box. The Minister of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare has signed an MOU with which organization? Be quick, be quick, be quick. Try to identify the right answer. Please tell me what is the right answer. See, guys, today with the help of these Drishyam rounds, I am making sure that you are not just remembering the answer. You are answering the question without having options in front of your mind. And if you are able to answer without having any option in the front of your mind, in the front of your eyes, then you will see, you will feel more empowered that without any option, now I am able to answer the question. Now in the examination, I will be able to answer the questions very easily, right? Because at that point of time, you will be having options also. So the Minister of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare signed an MOU with the Department of Post. Absolutely right. Now, Sati portal, my dear friends, Government of India has launched the Sati portal. The government issued advisory to dash states and duties to strictly implement the existing legal framework. So, how many states and duties this advisory has been sent by the government to all the states and duties? And what is the full form of Sati, my dear friends? It is seed authentication, traceability, and holistic inventory. Absolutely, this is the right answer. Well done, Pratish. You have given me the right answer to both the questions. Now, moving on to the next part. The National Self-Reliance and the Pulsars mission has been launched from which state? Madhya Pradesh. मध्य प्रदेश से स्टार्ट हुआ. मध्य प्रदेश declared the current year as Farmers Welfare Year. The farmers in the clusters will receive seed kits and rupees 10,000 per dash assistance for the model farming. What is the right answer? Per hectare. Dash will be released centrally from Delhi. How many seeds will be released centrally from Delhi? No seeds. There will be no seed which will be released centrally from Delhi. Now, establishment of how many pulse mills in India? That is the 1,000 pulse mills. Government of India to provide subsidy up to what percentage for setting up the pulse mills? What amount will be provided by the government in terms of subsidy? Rupees 25 lakhs. That is the right answer. So well done, Pratyush, Anirudh, Harshal. All of you have given me the right answer. Well done. Let's move on to the next news article now. The US and India announced the framework for interim agreement on the reciprocal trade. Now, guys, what exactly it means? Reciprocal trade क्या है? So I told you that example of the two. I gave you the example of the two shopkeepers, right? And I told you that one shopkeeper says to the another one, I will be, importing your products So there should be less duty on them, right? And as I am importing your products and at a less duty, now I will be exporting my products to you. Please ensure that you are providing me the better market access. So basically, what we are doing is we are having a kind of deal which is quite balanced in nature, and we are reciprocate the steps which we are taking for each other, right, my dear friends? For example, during the festivals, you wish each other. Like on the Holi and the Diwali, my dear friends, you always see that we always wish each other happy Diwali, happy Holi. And as a reply, our friends and the family members also share the same kind of wishes with us. So they reciprocate the feeling, they reciprocate the wishes to us back, right? So same kind we are talking about in the trade also, we reciprocate with some actions by giving some, flexibilities and some more facilities to the trade partner. So US and India has also done the same for interim agreement on reciprocal and mutually beneficial trade. The framework reaffirms commitment to the broader US-India bilateral trade agreement, which was launched in 2025. It will be it aims at reciprocal and balanced trade, expanded market access, and the resilient supply chains. According to the interim agreement, India will eliminate or reduce tariffs on all US industrial goods and a wide range of US food and agricultural products. So, my dear friends, according to the interim agreement, what they are going to do, India will be eliminating or reducing tariffs. So, whatever the India is bringing into the its own market from the US, so all those industrial goods of the US, they will be brought here at a reduced tariff rates, right? And a wide range of US food and agricultural products will be provided market access to the Indian market. Now the US will apply a reciprocal tariff rate. Now US ने कहा कि हम भी एक reciprocal tariff rate लगाएंगे 18% का on the goods which are originating from India under the executive order. So India से जो goods Australia US आने वाले हैं, we will be having 18% reciprocal tariff on them. Subject to successful conclusion of the interim agreement, the US will remove reciprocal tariffs on goods listed in the potentially tariff adjustment for aligned partners. So basically, guys, US ने ये भी कहा कि अगर हमारा ये interim agreement finalize हो जाता है, then we will definitely be removing the reciprocal tariffs on some goods which we are bringing from India in the US market. And India is basically having the target to purchase $500 billion worth of US energy products, aircraft parts. As you all know, that India is basically focusing more on the clean energy and making the India more stronger and strengthening our defense system. That's why we are now going to bring the US energy products, aircraft parts, precious metals, टेक्नोलॉजी प्रोडक्ट्स, कोकिंग कोल ओवर द नेक्स्ट 5 years. तो अगले 5 साल के लिए हम ये सब चीजें $500 बिलियन तक की इंपोर्ट करेंगे फ्रॉम द यूएस. फॉर द टेक्सटाइल एक्सपोर्ट्स इट ओपन्स अप अ $118 बिलियन ग्लोबल इंपोर्ट्स मार्केट ऑफ टेक्सटाइल्स. और यूएस दोस्तों इंडिया का लार्जेस्ट एक्सपोर्ट डेस्टिनेशन है विद अराउंड $10.5 बिलियन एक्सपोर्ट्स कंप्राइजिंग अराउंड 70% apparel and 15% made up. दिस इज अ मेजर अपॉर्चुनिटी नाउ फॉर द कंट्री. ठीक है. तो यूएस जो है इंडिया का लार्जेस्ट एक्सपोर्ट डेस्टिनेशन है. इंडिया 10.5 बिलियन एक्सपोर्ट्स यूएस में ही करता है. क्लियर. इससे पहले हमने बात की थी कौन सी कंट्री की दोस्तों. इंडिया हैज साइंड अग्रीमेंट विद द गल्फ कॉर्पोरेशन काउंसिल, राइट, वेयर India's global exports was 15.42% to the GCC only. Are you guys able to remember that? Now with the US being India's largest export destination of around $10.5 billion exports, it comprises of around 70% of the apparel and 15% made up. So that's why this is really very important. Now India is having the target of $100 billion exports by 2030, and this interim agreement with the US is going to play a very important role there. So that's all from this news article. I hope that this part is clear to all of you. Now let's try to answer these questions here. So which country and India announced framework for interim agreement on reciprocal trade? That is the US. So US and India reached a framework for interim agreement on the reciprocal mutual beneficial trades. The framework reaffirms commitment to the broader US-India bilateral trade agreement negotiation, which were launched in which year these negotiations were been launched? They were launched in 2025. Absolutely right. Now moving on to the next part, India will eliminate to reduce tariffs on dash US industrial goods. तो इंडिया जो भी इंडस्ट्रियल गुड्स यूएस से लेने वाली थी they have basically mentioned that they will be reducing the tariffs on these goods, right? And the US will apply a reciprocal tariff rate of what percentage of 18% on originating goods of India. And India intends to purchase how much $1 billion worth of US energy products this year? That is $500 billion in the next 5 years. Sorry. And for textile exports, India, it opens up a dash global import market of textile that is $118 billion, right? Now, if I ask you what is India's target of exports by 2030, what is the India's target for exports by 2030? That was $1,000 billion, right? Sorry, it was $100 billion. Absolutely right. $100 billion is the right answer. Clear, everyone? Let's move on to the next news article. The status of women judges on the Supreme Court and High Court. So, my dear friends, the judges to the Supreme Court and High Court is governed under Article 124, 217, 224 of the Constitution of India. So, the judges to the Supreme Court and High Courts, they are governed under which article? 124, 217, and 224. And Constitution does not provide reservation for any caste और क्लास इन द जुडिशियल अपॉइंटमेंट जुडिशियल अपॉइंटमेंट में कोई कास्ट और क्लास यहाँ पर नहीं लगती है so everything is on the merit on the basis of the article 124 217 and 224 ठीक है proposal of the appointment of the supreme court judges are initiated by the chief justice of india and proposal for appointment of the high court judges has been initiated by chief justice of the concerned high court so अगर सुप्रीम कोर्ट का जज अपॉइंट होगा तो उसका प्रपोजल कौन देगा सुप्रीम कोर्ट ऑफ इंडिया का चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ इंडिया देगा राइट एंड व्हेन इट कम्स टू द प्रपोजल फॉर अपॉइंटमेंट ऑफ हाई कोर्ट जजेस that has been done by the chief justice of that particular high court. Now government is requested the chief justices to give due consideration to candidates from SC, ST, other OBCs, minorities and women to enhance social diversity. So on this top post to ensure more diversity, right? Government of India provided and requested that this should be considered, right? अगर हम बात करें दोस्तों since 2014 what has happened we have seen 170 women judges appointed in the high courts 96 of these appointments were made in the last 5 years only 6 women judges have been appointed in the Supreme Court so the participation of the women is quite less in the Supreme Court and the High Court so enhance that only we are coming up with this initiative. Clear everyone so what are the articles which are responsible 124 217 and 224 clear. Now let's move on to the next part. The UIDAI completes over 1 crore mandatory biometric updates. Now, my dear friends, what is the MBU stands for? It stands for mandatory biometric updates. How many MBUs have been done by the UIDAI? That is the 1 crores. So now the question is that what exactly the MBU is all about. My dear friends, when you got registered yourself on the Aadhaar, so what were the different details it has asked you? Like your name, your father's name, your address, and what are the biometric details which are added there? So you also signed there, right? Your finger impressions are there, your iris scan is there, your photograph is there. So basically, we are having this particular part that the people of the age group of up to 5 years, right? Their fingerprints are not developed properly. So basically, government says that when the child is of 5 years, at that point of time, we are assuming that his fingerprints are completely grown up now, completely developed now, and then now you can get your MBU. That is the mandatory biometric update where you are ensuring that all the biometrics of your child are being uploaded to the system. Here, that's what we call the mandatory biometric update for school children, right? So now, basically, what is there? So they have achieved 1 crore mandatory biometric update for the school children across 83,000 schools in the 5 months. Aadhaar enrollment for the children below 5 years includes photograph, name, date of birth, gender, address, and birth certificate only. But does not capture the fingerprints and the iris biometrics. So that we basically believe that after the crossing the ages of 5, they have to ensure that they are updating the fingerprints, right? And additionally, when the child crosses the age of 15 years, then again we have to update the fingerprints and the iris data. Clear, everyone? So that's what comes under the MBU. So MBU for children in the 7 to 15 age group was made free of charge from 1st October 2025 for 1 year. तो जो बच्चे 7 से 15 साल के एज ग्रुप के हैं और उनका एमबीओ नहीं हुआ है, तो 1 अक्टूबर से लेके 1 साल तक के टाइमलाइन में वो फ्रीली अपना एमबीओ करा सकते हैं. ठीक है. So the lack of MBO may cause difficulties in the Aadhaar authentication. Guys, you all know that right now we have everything. We have covered each and everything, my dear friends, right? Under the Aadhaar card, right? And all the benefits of the schemes, services, whatever, even if you are purchasing any connection, then again you are having this. Let me give you an example, my dear friends. Yesterday we had to cancel the session because the previous Wi-Fi of ours was not working properly, right? There was a issue in that. So as it really caused a big problem to the students, so we decided that we have to update it, right? So I ordered a new Wi-Fi connection to be installed at our place so that we are having the proper internet service so that we can take these sessions in a regular and a smooth manner, right? So when I am purchasing that service also, you know what? That person only asked me my Aadhaar number. And he just took a photograph of mine and he just, linked it with the Aadhaar and that's all. It's done. All the details he is having now, and they can take the details for giving me those Wi-Fi services. Clear, everyone? Similarly, when the children are taking the admission in the classrooms, right, in the schools, and there are different schemes are there for the children. To get the benefit of that particular scheme, they must be having the Aadhaar card. If they're not having the Aadhaar card, they will be facing a problem with that. They won't be able to enroll themselves. That is why Aadhaar is really very important. I believe that every one of you is having the Aadhaar, right? So basically, you can see that the lack of MBU may cause difficulties in Aadhaar authentication for the government scheme benefits and examinations, such as NEET, JEE, and CUET. Also, it requires Aadhaar. Even your RBI Grade B officer exam asks you your Aadhaar number, right? Although it is not mandatory there, but if you are providing the consent, then definitely they can check your Aadhaar. Clear? Now, the special MBO drive was launched in September 2025 after the integration with the UDISA Plus application, enabling tracking of MBO status of children. The campaign is ongoing until all the schools in the country are covered. The initiative has benefited over 1 crore children so far. So, guys, this was the data of the month of February, right? Today, this data might have changed. So when we will be covering the latest data, we will definitely let you know about it. But for now, please remember this milestone which has been achieved by the UIDA, that is completing over 1 crore MBUs of the children. Clear, everyone? I hope this is clear to all of you. For the 7 to 15 age group, it is made free of charge from 1st October 2025 for 1 year. MBU for the children age 5 to 7 and 15 to 17 years continues to remain free of charge. तो 5 से 7 और 15 से 17 years के लिए तो फ्री ऑफ चार्ज था ही, बट फॉर अ पीरियड ऑफ 1 year वी हैव आल्सो मेड इट फ्री ऑफ चार्ज फॉर 7 to 15 years एज ग्रुप. Now moving on to the next part, the output outcome monitoring framework of the government of India. So let's try to discuss this with the help of an example, guys. Let's take an example that you were scoring less marks in the general awareness section of the RBI, right? So I told you that, okay, so I will be providing you cannot basically afford the learning, right? The quality learning, so don't worry. I am providing you the general awareness learning freely on the YouTube. Everything we will be covering in a very, organized manner, in a very detailed manner. And I think we are doing that. And I hope that you will also agree with us, right? So basically, let's take an example that we have provided you the learning. Let's take an example. I invested some amount. I invested rupees 20,000 rupees. I'm investing rupees 20,000 rupees on a group of 10 students for their better learning through my free YouTube classes, right? On the YouTube for the general awareness part. Now, my dear friends, is that the end of the story? that I can see that, okay, so Pratyush, Harshal, Anirudh, Kashish, Upasana, Nisha, Nidhi, all these students are coming on a regular basis to the classes. So only coming to the classes is sufficient or not? Please tell me. Yes or no? Answer is no. Why? Because it's not that you are just coming to the classes and that's the no. After that, you have to revise the PDF, you have to attend the MCQs. Now, I will be seeing your performance also in the part that how exactly you are performing in the MCQs, right? Whether you are able to retain the information from exam point of view or not, whether your score is increasing or not, right? So one is the outcome and one is the output and one is the outcome. So outcome is what it is your result. Clear everyone? So similarly, Government of India is providing a lot of grants for the different schemes and for that we're providing the grant for to the different departments of the country, right? Now we have to see that okay, we provided that allocation for that particular scheme. Now what is the result? Now we want to see the result of that scheme. If that scheme is not performing well, then again we have to cut short the supply of the funds to that particular scheme because it is not performing well. My effort is getting wasted there, right? So that's why we need to ensure this. That's why, my dear friends, the output outcome monitoring framework of the Government of India was been released for the performance monitoring framework for the schemes. The Development Monitoring and Evaluation Office of the Niti Aayog coordinate with the ministries and departments to prepare the annual OOMF for their schemes. So annual OOMF, that is the output outcome monitoring framework, will be has been laid in the parliament every year along with the union budget as an outcome budget for the schemes with an outlay of rupees 500 crore or more. So, my dear friend, let me tell you that it's not for every scheme we are going to do that. We are required to do this for the schemes to whom the annual outlay is more than 500 crore rupees. Clear? It is 500 crore or more than 500 crore. So that's why we are bringing it as an outcome budget for the schemes. Clear? Now, for the schemes with a budget outlay of less than rupees 500 crores, the respective ministry and department lays the OMF in parliament along with their detailed demand for grants. So the schemes who are having the less than 500 crore, so जो respective ministry department होगा वो अपने level पर parliament के अंदर detailed demand for grant को launch करेगा. Clear everyone? So we are having the two different categories, more than 500 crore and the less than 500 crores. The target and the progress of the outputs and the outcome of the central sector and the centrally sponsored schemes are tracked by the respective ministries and departments. OMF-based monitoring helps ministries, departments review scheme performance using key performance indicators and take corrective action to improve the implementation strategies. Now you must be having a question कि सर ये central sector और centrally sponsored schemes का difference क्या है? So दोस्तों देखो, central sector scheme. These are those schemes where the complete funding is been provided by the central government, right? So state government कुछ नहीं करेगी. State government is not going to even spend a penny on that scheme, right? But when it comes to the centrally sponsored scheme, so government of India says that okay, hey, government of Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Haryana, Punjab, UP, Rajasthan, MP, or any state government, we will be having a funding in some ratio. Let's take an example that 50% or let's take an example 40% government of India will be giving and 60% the state government will be giving, right? So that is the part of the centrally sponsored scheme where the state government is also having an expenditure for that scheme. Clear everyone? Understood? समझ पा रहे हैं सभी? So my dear friends, let's try to answer these questions and are you guys ready to answer the question in the comment section? Please give me a thumbs up in the chat box. Okay, so let's start. The status of women judges in Supreme Court and the High Court. So be energetic, be energetic. Let's start, my dear friends. Let's try to answer these questions. The appointment of the judges to the Supreme Court and High Court is governed by the articles. Which articles are there? 124, 217, and 224. That is the right answer. So only persons recommended by the Dash Collegium are appointed as the judges as the Supreme Court and the High Courts. So only the person recommended by the Supreme Court Collegium are appointed as the judges of the Supreme Court and High Courts. Is this the scenario? Okay, good. Moving ahead, UID is completed dash crore MBU. That is a mandatory biometric update. What is the right answer? That is the 1 crore. Absolutely right. Now, mandatory biometric update is required after crossing the age of what years, my dear friends? After crossing the age of 5 years, 5 to 7, and 15 to 17 years to update the fingerprints and iris data, right? The MBU for the children in the 7 to 15 age group was made. So, what were the charges there? That is free of charge. It was free of charge from the 1st October 2025 for 1 year. Clear everyone, we are done with this news article. Let's move on to the next part. Now we are moving on to OOMF. What is the full form of OOMF? It is output outcome, right? Output outcome monitoring framework of the government of India. Here, the OMF is basically laid in Parliament every year along the budget and outcome budget for the schemes with an outlay of rupees 500 crores or more is there for the schemes with a budget outlay of less than 500 crores. The respective ministry department lays up OMF in a Parliament along with their detailed department for grants. Clear everyone. So that's all. We are done with this news article also. So, my dear friends, we are done almost with more than half of the session for today, and some of the articles are left. So now let's try to resume the session with the after 5 minutes of the break, so that with more energy we can conduct the remaining part of the session. Okay, clear everyone. So right now in my watch, it is the time is 5:30, and we will be back by 5:35. Clear, your time starts now. Hello everyone. So please give me a thumbs up in the chat box if you guys are back after the session so that we can resume the session and just complete it from the examination point of view. Please give me a thumbs up in the chat box. Please mark your attendance so that I can ensure everybody of you is back and we can resume the session. So first of all, please confirm that if I am audible and visible to every one of you, shall we move ahead? I've only received one response. I think the remaining of the people are not back for the session. Or you guys are back and you are just feeling sleepy and lazy to give me a thumbs up in the chat box. Okay. So we cannot wait more. So let's start the session. So my dear friends, let's start Swavlambini Women Entrepreneurship Program. In February 2025, the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, in collaboration with the Women Entrepreneurship Platform of the Niti Aayog as a knowledge partner, launched Swavlambini, a women entrepreneurship program. So, my dear friends, you all know that we are right now working a lot and focusing more on the women entrepreneurs to provide them the skills. Why exactly? Because see, my dear friends, in our society, there are so many people who are there. In our society, there are so many people who are having very, very bright ideas, but they are not able to ideate. They are not able to, bring those ideas practically into the life, in the real life. And that's where we are lacking. And to ensure that these people are not just having the idea, they are converting their ideas and bringing them to their life, and they are starting their startups. So that is why we came up and we want to basically support the women entrepreneurs, the women who are having such kind of ideas, so that we can help them to scale up. And that's where we came up with the idea of Swavlambini. Clear everyone? So Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship collaborated with the Women Entrepreneurship Platform of Niti Aayog as knowledge partner, has launched Swavlambini, a women entrepreneurship program. So we are going to develop an entrepreneurial mindset among the female students and make them aware to support mechanisms, schemes, resources, and the networks of entrepreneurship. The project follows a structured multi-stage training approach to help young women move from ideation to enterprise creation. The project follows a structured multi-stage training approach. एक multi-stage training approach हमने लगाई to help young women move from ideation to enterprise creation. It is implemented from Ministry of Skill Development Entrepreneurship, autonomous institutes like National Institute for Entrepreneurship and Small Business Development and Indian Institute of Entrepreneurship, Guwahati. तो ये दो organizations का नाम याद रखिए which are the autonomous institutes which are implementing this Pavlambani program. So this institute, that is National Institute of Entrepreneurship and Small Business Development, Noida, and Indian Institute of Entrepreneurship, Guwahati. The MSDE oversees the execution, supervision, and monitoring. The target group and stages, my dear friends, the target group. So basically, as a part of the Swavlambini program, what exactly we are doing? We are first of all having the target group of 1200 female students from the higher education institutions of the universities. So first stage, 1200 students are there, right? In the stage one, 1200 students will go entrepreneurship awareness program. We will be making them aware about the entrepreneurship, that what exactly it is, what you can achieve through that, how exactly you can do that, right? Then in the stage number two, we will be selecting 600 students from them and they will be undergoing entrepreneurship development program. See, पहले हमने क्या किया? Avail किया. अब उनको develop किया. Now stage three will include the 21 weeks of mentorship and handholding support to help convert ideas into the sustainable enterprises. Let's take an example that in the higher education institution, there are some group of girls who are having really good idea in their mind that okay, that's what we should do, right? So they will be participating in the Swavlambini program. So government is going to have 1200 female students from these higher education institutions, such students who are having the ideas. Now we are making them aware about the entrepreneurship develop. Now we are making them aware about the entrepreneurship that what exactly it is. And see, it is not going to be a easy road. It will be going to be a difficult road, right? So some of them will think that okay, now I'm already having a placement, so okay, I will be thinking about entrepreneurship later on. So what happens is that only 600 students are left, and now they have been selected for the entrepreneurship development program. Now we are asking their ideas, we are helping them to convert these ideas into the real life. How? Because after the development program, we will be having the 21 weeks of mentorship and handholding support to help them to convert their ideas into the sustainable enterprises. Clear, everyone? This will also include the FDP, that is the Faculty Development Program, the 5-day training session for faculty members of the participating higher education institutions and the universities to build long-term mentoring capacity. So here, my dear friends, we are also going to train the faculties of these higher education institutions so that they can also provide the long-term mentoring capacity to these students. Now, it was launched as a pilot project in the six higher education institutes and the universities of Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Uttar Pradesh, and Telangana. Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram, UP, and Telangana. That is the right answer. Niti Aayog organizes the workshops, provides mentoring support, facilitates seed funding, and recognizes successful entrepreneurs through the Award to Reward initiative. That's all from this news article. My dear friends, please tell me the name of the initiative launched by the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, along with the Women Entrepreneurship Platform of the Niti Aayog as a knowledge partner. What is the name of that program? That is Swavlambini Women Entrepreneurship Program. Right? It is a three-stage program. How many students will be targeted here? 1200 female students from the higher education institutions or the universities. 1200 students will be provided the entrepreneurship awareness program. 600 provided the EAP participants undergo entrepreneurship development program. And stage 3, we will be having 21 weeks of mentorship and handholding support to help convert ideas into the sustainable practices. We are also having the 5 days training of the faculties as a faculty development program. Clear, everyone? Now these 6 states from where this has been started is Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Uttar Pradesh, and Telangana. Okay? So what are these states? You can please remember these are TAMU states. TAMU states. ठीक है? तो दोस्तों let me tell you that pilot projects हमेशा पूछा जाता है एग्जाम के अंदर. So please remember TAMU states. Now what is the TAMU stands for? Telangana, Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram, and Uttar Pradesh. Clear, everyone? So which are the 6 states from which this pilot project of the Swavlambini entrepreneurship has been launched? That is TAMU states. That's all. Moving on to the next news article. The implementation of the labor codes, a perception-based analysis. Because you all know that the 4 labor codes have been implemented in India. And now we decided to identify that how exactly the implementation are taking place and how exactly they are impactful. So we had a study which was called the implementation of the labor codes, a perception-based analysis, which was conducted by VV Giri National Labor Institute of Noida. Let me tell you guys, only this much information is required to be covered from exam point of view. Why so? Because let me tell you very important point here that, my dear friends, this particular study has been done by a private institute, a VV Giri National Labor Institute of Noida. Right? So it's not that important. Let's take an example. If there was a Ministry of Labor, or there was International Labor Organization, or the Niti Aayog, or some any other big institution was doing such kind of study, then definitely it would have been good. But we are not going to cover more here about the VV Giri National Labor Institute, Noida. Clear, everyone? And also now it is from the month of February, right? Still, I can give you a very small context that it just assesses the awareness and understanding of the labor codes and then enforcement among the workers and employers. कि employers और workers किस तरीके से समझते हैं labor codes को, उनकी क्या understanding है, उसके बारे में उनका क्या विचार है, right? So 60% of the workers believe कि working conditions improve होंगी. 63% expects better regulation of working hours. 60% anticipating enhanced rest periods and leave practices. 66% of the workers believe that safety, transport, and monitoring requirements will improve protection for the women workers. Clear, everyone? So that's all we have to understand here. From this VV Giri National Labour Institute of Noida, the implementation of labor codes of perception-based analysis. Let's move on to the next news article. So, my dear friends, now there is an article on the performance of the scheduled commercial banks, which was at historic low. My dear friends, let me tell you again that this data has been now updated. This is the data of the month of February, right? And now this data has got updated. Again, this part is not now that much relevant from examination point of view. The gross NPA ratio of the scheduled commercial banks for domestic operations declined to a historic low of 2.15%. So just remember this part because this was the historic low. So that's why we are covering it, right? So 30th September 2025 का जो provisional data था उसके according the gross NPA ratio of the scheduled commercial banks was 2.15%. That's it we need to remember. And now, my dear friend, let's try to move on to the questions. So, Swavlambini Women Entrepreneurship Program in February, Dash, the Ministry of Skill Development and the Entrepreneurship, in collaboration with the Niti Aayog and knowledge partner, launched Swavlambini Women Entrepreneurship Program. What is the right answer here? Please tell me in the chat box in a very quick manner. What is the year in which it was launched? So, yes, it was Swavlambini, and with the Women Entrepreneurship Platform of the Niti Aayog. But what was the year here? It was 2024, right? It was 2025, 22, 25 or 2024. Yes, absolutely right. This is the right answer. So, my dear friend, moving ahead, the MSD's autonomous institutes. The MSD's autonomous institutes are what are the name of the two autonomous institutes? One was NIESBUD, National Institute of Entrepreneurship and Business Development, right? And the next one was IIE Guwahati. Absolutely right. Now, moving at the target group and stages, how many female students will be selected from higher education institution universities? That is 1200. 1200 students will undergo entrepreneurship awareness program. Out of them, 600 students will be selected from EAP participants undergo entrepreneurship development program. That's all. And further, they will be getting 21 weeks of mentorship and handholding support. It includes a development program for the faculties also, which is called the FDP Faculty Development Program. That's all. Moving on to the next part, the implementation of the labor codes of perception-based analysis conducted by which organization? It is a Noida-based organization, VV Giri National Institute. Right? VV Giri National Institute was there, which has basically came up with a study. And this said that what percentage of the workers believe overall working conditions will improve. So that is 60% of the workers. And what percentage of workers anticipating enhanced rest periods and leave practices? That is 60% again. That is the right answer. So, my dear friends, with this, we are done with these news articles from the examination point of view. Now, let's move on to the next news article that is on the Ministry of Steel Science MOU 485 projects under the PLI scheme 1.2 for specialty steel. My dear friends, let's take an example. See, not just an example, but a real life scenario. In our country, a lot of steel is being produced every year. बहुत सारा steel produce करते हैं हम, right? But when it comes to that steel which is being used for the, for the defense purposes, for the better technological purposes, for the better infrastructural purposes, for that we use the special steel. और ये special steel इंडिया में नहीं बनता, ये special steel we import from the outside countries. So government said that see when we are really working in these areas, And we need, when we all know that we are having the special steel requirement, why not we just create it on our own? Why are we dependent on the others? That's where Government of India said to all the steel makers that, hey, my dear steel making company, please ensure that we are also focusing on the producing of special steel, right? You produce the specialty steel and I will be providing you the subsidy for that. So that is why they came up with the PLI scheme 1.2 for specialty steel. Clear? And under this part, my dear friends, 85 projects of 55 companies for executing 85 projects of 55 companies, and MOU has been signed. And this MOU has been signed by which ministry? So which ministry will be working for the steel? That is the Ministry of Steel only. When we are having a specific ministry also for the steel, and we are not having the specialty steel, that means there is some kind of error here, right? So we want to resolve it. That's why we came up with the PLI scheme for specialty steel. So the Ministry of Steel has signed an MOU for 85 projects over of 55 companies under the Production Linked Incentive Scheme 1.2, third round of the specialty steel. And my dear friends, PLI 1.2 aims to support the vision of Make in India. We are having an investment of 11,887 crore rupees. The participating companies committed an investment of 11,887 crore. The PLI scheme for specialty steel was launched in July 2021 to promote manufacturing, attract capital investment, and support technology upgradation in the downstream steel sector. Clear? So the PLI scheme for the specialty steel, it was launched in July 2021. July 2021 में ये launch किया गया to promote manufacturing, attract capital investment and support technology upgradation. So what we are doing is हम manufacturing को promote करेंगे specialty steel के India के अंदर. We will be attracting the capital investment from the outside sources की ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोग invest करें इस sector के अंदर, and we should also focus on the technology upgradation so that India will become self-reliant on the requirement of the specialty steel. Clear, everyone? Under the PLI 1.0, we had 27,106 crores with a production capacity of 7.9 million tons. PLI 1.1 launched on 6th January 2025 with expected investment of about 17,000 crores with 6.4 million tons. And PLI scheme 1.2 was launched for specialty steel on 4th November 2025 under the PLI scheme for the specialty steel. The scheme covered 22 product subcategories under the product categories, under the 4 product categories. What are the 4 product categories here? Steel grade for strategic sector, commercial grade for category 1, commercial grade for category 2, coated and wired products. And what is the incentive rate range here? The incentive rates range is 4 to 15%. So the incentive which will be provided under the PLI scheme 1.2 for specialty steel, what exactly is the range of that? Please send me in the comment section. That is 4 to 15%, right? It will be provided for a period of how many years? 5 years, starting from 25-26, and the incentive disbursement will begin from fiscal year 26-27. तो incentive disbursement होगा 26-27 के साथ. It will be beginning from 26-27. Incentives will be provided for a period of 5 years from 25-26. That is the right part. Clear, everyone? So 4 to 15% is the incentive range. So that's all from this news article. PLI 1.2 scheme, guys, will be attracting the 11,887 crore of the investments. We have seen PLI 1.0, 1.1 and 1.2. Clear? In November 2025, the PLI 1.2 was being launched under the PLI scheme for specialty steel. So that's all we need to cover from examination point of view. Let's try to answer. So the Ministry of Steel signed MOU for 85 projects under the PLI scheme for specialty scheme. It is the PLI scheme 1.2. 1.2 is the right answer. Right? The Ministry of Steel has signed this MOU for 85 projects of the 55 companies. The participating companies committed an investment of how much crore? 11,887 crores. जब हम बात करें PLI scheme की, it was launched in which year? July 2021 to promote manufacturing, attract capital investment and support technology. The PLI scheme 1.2 for specialty steel was launched on which date? 4th of November 2025 under the PLI scheme for specialty steel. Now, the 22 product subcategories are there under the 4 product categories. What are these? So we have discussed them, and the incentive rates range from 4% to 15%. Incentives will be provided for a period of 5 years starting from 25-26. Incentive disbursement will begin from fiscal year 26-27. तो हमने यहाँ पर सारी चीजें कवर कर ली है दोस्तों, और आप देख सकते हो कि वो जो चार ग्रेड है, दीज आर स्टील ग्रेड फॉर स्ट्रेटेजिक सेक्टर, commercial grade 1, commercial grade 2, and the coated and wired product. That is all we need to cover from exam point of view. Clear everyone? Clear है सभी को? Are you guys getting it? Are you able to understand this from examination point of view? Okay, well done. Let's move on to the next articles now. We are moving on the RBI notifications. So RBI has revised the voluntary retention route framework for the FPI debt investments. My dear friends, first of all, we need to understand the FPI, then we will discuss about the VRR, right? So what are the foreign portfolio investors? FPI stands for foreign portfolio investors. These are those people, let's take an example, there is the person who is sitting in the America and he wants to invest in the India. तो इंडिया में इंडिया की कंपनी के अंदर ही इन्वेस्ट करना चाहते हैं, या फिर इंडिया की किसी डेट इंस्ट्रूमेंट में वो इन्वेस्ट करना चाहते हैं, राइट? He is only having the person is only having the target of investment. That's all. No control. If the person was doing investment with the target of control and he will be controlling the management of the company in the India, then it is called FDI. But in the FPA, there is no control, only the investment in return is there. That's all. Clear, everyone? Now, my dear friend, let me tell you that there are two routes. There are two routes. So let's take an example that there is a house, right? There is a gate to enter into the house. This is the front gate, right? And now we always provide access to the back gates to our best friends. Okay, my dear best friend, you can come to my house. You are not required to come from the front gate. You can come from the back gate also. This is the flexibility that I am providing to you because you are my best friend, right? So my dear friends, let me tell you that this front gate is called the general route. General route, from which are only for the ordinary people. Ordinary means the FPI investors which can come and go anytime. They can come to the Indian market, they can invest, and then they can go anytime. This is called the general route, which is for general people. Now we have a special VIP entry for the best friends, right? Why? Because these best friends are having more trust. Why they are having more trust? Because we know them for the longer term of period. We have invested them, they have invested a lot of things in us. So we call that route as the voluntary retention route, VRR route. This is the VIP entry for them, right? So this basically provides that to these investors, to these FPI investors, who says that, my dear company, don't worry, we are going to stay here for a longer period of time. We are coming with the huge amount of money. And what if these investors take back that money in a sudden manner? What will happen? It will bring, instability in the Indian economy. And RBI came out to identify this. So basically, RBI said that, okay, so we are having the solution for that. So the people, these FPI investors, you want to invest in a company, don't worry, you do it. But if you are having this amount, more than a particular limit, then you have to ensure that you are going to stay here for some longer period of time. So that comes under the voluntary retention route. Now there are some changes which have been made to that route. What are the changes made? So RBI has said that, okay, the people, the limits that we are having for you in the voluntary retention route, now we are merging these limits with the general route. Okay, how? Let's try to understand this by jumping into the article. So the voluntary retention route was introduced for the foreign portfolio investors investing in the debt instruments. तो जो इन्वेस्टर्स डेट इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स के अंदर इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हैं उनके लिए हमने इंट्रोड्यूस किया ये वॉलंटरी रिटेंशन रूट, राइट? व्हाट आर द डेट इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स? दीज आर द फाइनेंशियल इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स वेयर एन इन्वेस्टर लेंड्स मनी टू एन इश्यूअर इन रिटर्न फॉर फिक्स और प्री डिटर्मिन्ड रिटर्न्स यूजुअली इन द फॉर्म ऑफ इंटरेस्ट. तो वो इन्वेस्ट करेगा और रिटर्न लेगा. दैट्स ऑल द होल ओनरशिप एंड दैट्स ऑल द होल रिलेशनशिप इज देयर बिटवीन देम. So these debt investments will include the government, corporate, or the financial institutions, securities as well, right? Now moving ahead, a debt instrument creates a creditor-debtor relationship. तो एक बंदे ने क्रेडिट किया और एक बंदा यहाँ पर डेटर है, दैट्स ऑल. द एफपीआई इज बेसिकली द क्रेडिटर एंड द कंपनी विच इज वेयर दिस मनी हैज बीन इन्वेस्टेड, दैट इज द डेटर. So the VRR provisions are governed under the Foreign Exchange Management Debt Investment Instrument Regulation 2019 and the Master Direction Reserve Bank of India non-resident investment in the debt instrument direction 2025. और उसके अकॉर्डिंग दोस्तों VRR की जो सेपरेट इन्वेस्टमेंट लिमिट थी दैट वाज 2.5 लाख करोड़ or higher as notified by the RBI. If the FPIs are basically investing rupees 2.5 lakh crores or more than that amount, then basically they had to come into India through the voluntary retention route. That it is that VIP entry that I talked about earlier, right? So they won't be coming through the general route because now these are bringing more money to my country. So basically, these are my best friends. They can come from that VIP route. That is called the voluntary retention route. Clear, everyone? So which could be released in one or more tranches. Now the FPA investing under VRR was subject to a stipulated minimum retention period. I told you that there is a minimum retention period for them. Now the RBI has brought some changes to these regulations. First of all, as announced in the bi-monthly monetary policy statement dated February 6, 2026, investment limits under the VRR now been subsumed under the investment limit for FPI investments under the general route. So FPI foreign portfolio investors जो general route से आ रहे थे, they were coming through the general route. Now we have subsumed their limits with this. Now, what are these limits, my dear friend? The investment through VRR in the central government securities, state government securities will be reckoned under their respective general route limits. अब उसको हमने merge कर दिया है general route limit के साथ. FPA that double retention period is longer than the minimum retention period can liquidate their portfolio fully or partly and exit the VRR after completion of the minimum retention period. तो जो FPIs जिन्होंने retention period सर्व कर लिया है longer than the minimum retention period. So I told you, let's take an example, longer retention period was 5 years. तो 5 साल का जिसने कवर कर लिया उससे ज्यादा का समय हो चुका है. Now these people can basically liquidate their portfolio और वो एग्जिट कर सकते हैं VRR को आफ्टर द कंप्लीशन ऑफ द मिनिमम रिटेंशन पीरियड. तो मिनिमम रिटेंशन पीरियड की कंप्लीशन के बाद दे कैन एग्जिट द VRR after the completion. All existing VRR investments as on April 1, 2026 will be transferred to the respective investment limits under the general route. Clear everyone? तो जो भी हमारे existing voluntary retention route investments हैं as on April 1, 2026 उनको हम ट्रांसफर करेंगे टू द रेस्पेक्टिव इन्वेस्टमेंट लिमिट्स अंडर द जनरल रूट. और जिनका टाइम पीरियड हो चुका है खत्म, दैट मींस द मिनिमम अमाउंट ऑफ टाइम व्हिच दे वर सपोज्ड टू स्टे, सो दे कैन बेसिकली exit. They are having the flexibility, right? Clear everyone? From which date this direction will be implemented? That is from April 1, 2026. I hope this is clear to everyone, my dear friends, my dear future officers. I hope that you are able to understand it. What was the limit for the VRR earlier? That is 2.5 lakh crores or more than that. Clear? And they exit the VRR after completion of the minimum retention period. That's all from this, and this will be implemented from 1st of April 2026. Absolutely right. Now, my dear friends, moving on to the next news article. The question article is the RBI Monetary Policy Committee meet February 2026. My dear friends, this is the RBI Monetary Policy Committee meet February 2026. And after that, we had seen the April month was also there, and now in the June first week, we will be having the June month also monetary policy meet. So we are not required to cover this February one. So that's why we will be skipping this completely. There is no requirement of covering this, guys. No requirement of covering this from examination point of view. Skip, skip, and skip. Now moving on to the next part, the alteration in the names of the 6 RRBs and second schedule to RBI Act 1934. So the name of the 6 regional rural banks have been altered in the second schedule to the Reserve Bank of India Act 1934. तो RBI Act 1934 के second schedule के अंदर कुछ regional rural banks से उनके नाम change किए गए हैं. So what are the second scheduled banks? These are those banks which are listed in the second schedule of the RBI Act 1934. That's why they are called the scheduled banks. So all the banks which are listed in the second schedule of RBI, they are known as the scheduled banks. and those who are not, they are called non-scheduled banks. Clear, everyone? So what are the old and new names? You can see here that basically what we have done is, so in so many banks now we were having, different kind of suffixes, right? Like you can see here the Assam Gramin Vikas Bank is there, Chhattisgarh Rajya Gramin Bank, Jharkhand Rajya Gramin Bank. So we just said that okay, there is no requirement of this additional names here. It should be very standard, like Assam Gramin Bank only. That's all. Chhattisgarh Gramin Bank, Jharkhand Gramin Bank, Kerala Gramin Bank, Puduvi Bhartiya Gram Bank has been changed to Puducherry Gram Bank. Then Sarv Haryana Gramin Bank has been changed to Haryana Gramin Bank. That's all. So under which act of RBI this has been done? Under the RBI Act 1934, this change has been made. Clear, everyone? Let's move on to the next article. The RBI has launched the Financial Literacy Week. My dear friends, every year we see the Financial Literacy Week has been announced by the Government of India for, it is a initiative taken by the Reserve Bank of India for enhancing financial literacy among the people of the nation. And this year, 11th edition of the Financial Literacy Week was being organized. The date of the FLW was February 9 to February 13, 2026. So February 9 to February 13 of the Financial Literacy Week. That is the duration of the FLW 2026. February 9 to February 13. The theme is KYC सुरक्षित banking की ओर पहला कदम. That is KYC, your first step to the safe banking. KYC सुरक्षित बैंकिंग की ओर पहला कदम. KYC सुरक्षित बैंकिंग की ओर पहला कदम. And in Hindi, in English, it is the KYC, your first step to the safe banking. And RBI came up with this initiative in 2016 only. तो आरबीआई ने ये इनिशिएटिव 2016 के अंदर लॉन्च किया था. Clear? Let's try to now answer all these questions here. My dear friends, let's move ahead. The voluntary retention route was introduced for which investors? Foreign portfolio investors investing in the debt instruments. Now, the earlier investment under the VRR had a separate investment limit of what amount? 2.5 lakh crores. Now, what has been changed? As announced in the bi-monthly monetary policy statement of February 6, 2026, VRR now will be subsumed under the investment limit for FPI investments under which route? Under the general route. Right? Now, the revised directions will come into effect from which date? 1st of April 2026. And all these existing VRR investments, as on which date will be transferred to the respective investment limits? That is the 1st April 2026. That's all from this news article. Let's move on to the next article, my dear friends. Alteration in the name of 6 RRBs in the second schedule to which act? RBI Act 1934. So these names have been altered in the second schedule to the RBI Act 1934. The second schedule to the RBI Act 1934 contains the list of banks that are classified as which banks? My dear friends, which banks are these? These are the scheduled banks, and their name has been changed. Now let's move on to the next part, that is the Financial Literacy Week. So RBI has launched the 13th edition of the Financial Literacy Week. Now please tell me, what is the duration of the Financial Literacy Week. This is an initiative launched by the Reserve Bank of India in 2016, and the theme is KYC, your first step to the banking, safe banking. KYC, the first step to the safe banking. And what is the timeline? Timeline is 9th Feb to 13th Feb. Absolutely right. So I can see Pratyush and Harshal, both of them have given me the right answer to this question. That is 9th to 13th Feb. Absolutely right. Now, my dear friend, let's move on to the next news article. That is the risk-based premium framework for deposit insurance in India. Now, what is the risk-based premium? Guys, that is a very, very important article now from examination point of view. Why so? You all know that in our country, there are so many banks are there, right? And what if a bank fails? What will happen? What will happen to the amount of money that the people are having in the deposits in these banks? So it will get lost over. So for that, we are having the insurance. Like you are having the insurance for your car, for your bike. Some are having the insurance for their life also, for their medical benefits also, for their mobile phones, for their laptops also, right? So similarly, we should be having this kind of insurance for the banks. Now, my dear friend, let's take an example that there is a bank which is performing really good. It is taking all the steps which have been released by the Reserve Bank of India for the protection of the deposits of the people, and they are basically taking all the steps in order to ensure that to whoever they are giving the loans, they are assessing them properly. So this is a really good working branch, right? Good working bank. Now there is another bank, my dear friends, which is not that good, which is not following all these kind of different things. It is not following them properly. And this is the group, this is the bank which is high risk. So which bank is more vulnerable now to get Diwalia, to get failed? Which bank is more vulnerable to fail? That is the second bank. But the first bank was really doing good. But we were not having, the separate. We were not having any reward to the group which was performing good. What happens is, guys, like example, you are basically purchasing an insurance scheme, right? So you always pay some premium, but now you will not be feeling good. Now that see, I am very safe person. Let's take an example. There is a car, right? And we want to provide the insurance to the car. Now there is a car of a safe driver and there is a car of the unsafe driver. The safe driver car is really very well maintained. He drives really well. There is no accident till now for that particular in the case of this driver. So in the similar in the another example that there is a driver who is very unsafe driver and so many accidents is already done. So definitely you will charge more insurance from the unsafe driver as compared to the safe driver, right? Now, my dear friends, the same part of this we want to apply to the banks. The banks which are performing good, so they need to pay less amount of the premium for the insurance. The banks which are basically the more riskier in nature, to them the insurance premium should be high. Earlier there was a flat rate on the premium. So this is the change that we have made. Now let's jump into the article to understand it in a more holistical manner. So the DICGC is a subsidiary of the RBI under the DICGC Act 1961. It provides a deposit insurance up to what amount? 5 lakh per depositor per bank, right? No matter how many accounts you are having in that bank, for one account, maximum rupees 5 lakh only can be given. Clear everyone? That's the diversify is required. Now, guys, that maintains the deposit insurance fund for this purpose. Deposit insurance has been operated by DICGC under 1962. तो 1962 से DICGC ने डिपॉजिट इंश्योरेंस को ऑपरेट किया है अंडर अ फ्लैट रेट प्रीमियम सिस्टम. तो फ्लैट रेट प्रीमियम सिस्टम था दोस्तों. व्हाट वाज दैट फ्लैट रेट? दैट वाज द 12 पैसा per rupees 100 of accessible deposit. Accessible deposits क्या है? The deposits which are being made to this bank, right? So जिस डिपॉजिट के अगेंस्ट आप इंश्योरेंस दे रहे हो, so it was the 12 paisa per 100 rupees. The card rate is the standard flat premium rate present by DICGC for the all insured banks before risk-based differentiation. Clear everyone? Now the section 15(1) of the DICGC Act 1961 allows the differential premium rates for different categories of different banks. So please, my dear friends, please ensure you are giving me the answer. What is the section of the DICGC Act 1961 which allows the differential premium rates? तो डिफरेंशियल प्रीमियम रेट्स को अलाउ करे फॉर द डिफरेंट कैटेगरीज ऑफ इंश्योर्ड बैंक्स. तो जो हमारी अलग अलग कैटेगरीज है इंश्योर्ड बैंक्स की, उनके डिफरेंशियल प्रीमियम रेट्स को ये अलाउ करे. दैट इज द सेक्शन 15(1) ऑफ द DICGC Act 1961. क्लियर एवरीवन? Now the Deposit Insurance and the Credit Guarantee Corporation, with the approval of the Reserve Bank of India, has advised insured banks on implementation of a risk-based premium framework. Now, what is the RBP? That is a risk-based premium framework structure जहां पर banks पे insurance premium based on the risk profile. जिसका रिस्क कम होगा उसका प्रीमियम भी कम होगा, जिसका रिस्क ज्यादा होगा उसका प्रीमियम भी ज्यादा होगा. That's what we are trying to understand here, right? To incentivize the sound risk management by the banks and reduce the premium payable by the better rated banks. This will be impactful from 1st of April 2026. ये कब से applicable होगा? 1st April 2026 से होगा. Now, my dear friend, we are having the two risk assessment models now. One is the Tier 1 model, other one is the Tier 2 model. Now, what is the Tier 1 model? This is applicable to scheduled commercial banks, excluding the regional rural banks. See, guys, the regional rural bank is not the part of the Tier 1 model. It is based on the supervisory ratings, quantitative assessments, CAMEL, and it is also focused on the CAMEL parameter. What is the CAMEL parameter? It is the asset quality management earnings, liquidity, and sensitivity to the market risk, potential loss to the deposit insurance fund in the case of bank failures. CAMELS is a supervisory tool used by the RBI to assess banks' overall financial health. तो कैमल एक वो सुपरवाइजरी टूल है जिसका इस्तेमाल किया जाता है बाय द आरबीआई टू असेस द बैंक्स ओवरऑल फाइनेंशियल हेल्थ. Clear everyone? Now, what is the Tier 2 model? Tier 2 model is for the RRBs and the cooperative banks. Tier 1 was only for scheduled commercial banks, excluding the RRBs. Tier 2 is for RRBs and the cooperative banks. It is based on quantitative assessment, CAMELS parameters, and the potential usage of DIF. The maximum risk model incentive is 33.33% over the card rate. My dear friends, जो maximum risk model incentive है, that is 33.33% over the card rate. The maximum vintage incentive will be 25% for the longer contribution to the deposit insurance fund without major distress or the claim payouts. So maximum vintage incentive है 25%, maximum risk model है 33.33%. Effective premium will be determined based on the card rate adjusted for risk model incentive. I hope guys that this is clear to all of you. Now the local area banks and the payment banks, there are some special provisions for them. They will continue to pay the card rate of 12 paisa per 100 for the AD per annum due to data limitations. They account for less than 1% of the total premium collected. तो क्योंकि उनका जो डेटा है दोस्तों वो इतना ज्यादा स्ट्रॉन्गर नहीं है हमारे पास, so that's why we have provided them the special provision that local area banks and payment banks, you don't worry, you have to pay only rupees 12 per 100 rupees of the AD per annum. The urban cooperative banks under the supervisory action framework or prompt correction action will be continuing to play the card rate and will be considered for the RVP from the financial year following their exit from the SAF and PCA. सो वाई डिफरेंट जो हमारे अर्बन कोऑपरेटिव बैंक्स हैं जो सुपरवाइजरी एक्शन फ्रेमवर्क के अंडर आते हैं या पीसीआर के अंडर आते हैं वो दे विल कंटिन्यू टू पे द कार्ड रेट एंड विल बी कंसिडर्ड फॉर द रिस्क बेस्ड प्रीमियम फ्रॉम द फाइनेंशियल ईयर फॉलोइंग देयर एग्जिट. जब वो सुपरवाइजरी एक्शन फ्रेमवर्क से बाहर आ जाएंगे या फॉर्म करेक्टिव एक्शन से बाहर आ जाएंगे तब उनके ऊपर ये नया आरबीपी लागू होगा. तो स्पेशल प्रोविजन किस किस के लिए है? लोकल एरिया बैंक्स एंड पेमेंट बैंक्स, उनको एग्जैक्टली पे करना होगा जो पहले कर रहे थे. एंड फॉर द अर्बन कोऑपरेटिव बैंक्स दे हैव टू पे इट इन द सेम वे, बट उनको बनाया जाएगा आरबीपी का पार्ट व्हेन दे विल बी कमिंग आउट ऑफ द एसएएफ और द पीसीए फ्रेमवर्क. क्लियर एवरीवन? आई होप दैट दिस इज क्लियर टू ऑल ऑफ यू. So my dear friends, is there any doubt in this particular article? Any doubt? Let's try to answer the questions here. So the risk-based premium framework for deposit insurance in India. So the DICGC is a subsidiary of RBI under which Act DICGC Act 1961. It provides deposit insurance to bank accounts in India, depositors in India. If a bank fails DICGC, the current limit is rupees 5 lakh per depositor per bank. If they maintains the DIF for this purpose, this deposit insurance fund, present card rate is rupees 12 paisa per rupees 100. The advised insurer banks on implementation of RBP, that is the RBP stands for risk-based premium. The RBP framework will be effective from 1st of April and will be reviewed at least once in every 3 years. तो ये 1st अप्रैल 2026 से इफेक्टिव होगा और कितने साल में रिव्यू होगा? 3 साल में रिव्यू होगा हर बार. Moving ahead, the two risk assessment models are there. First one is applicable to scheduled commercial banks, excluding the regional rural banks. And it follows the CAMEL parameter and the potential loss of the depositor insurance fund. CAMEL एक supervisory tool है used by the RBI to assess the bank's overall financial health. Clear everyone? Let's move on to the next part. The Tier 2 model is applicable to which banks? The regional rural banks and The payment banks, they have to ensure the maximum risk model incentive is 33.33% and the maximum vintage incentive is up to rupees 25%. Sorry, up to 25%. Now moving on to the special provisions. So which banks will continue to pay the card rate of 12 paisa per rupees 100 of the AD? That is, my dear friends, that is the local area banks and the cooperative banks. But the urban cooperative banks, they will be brought under the framework of the RBP once they are outside the SCF and the PCF framework, right? I hope that these are clear to everyone. So, my dear friends, with this, we are done with the second week of the month of February, that is of the 5th to 9th of February 2026. Any doubt that you are having till now in this particular session? Well, let me tell you that what is the next step for all of you. You have to revise the PDF and solve the MCQs. Now you will be having a question, ki, sir, from where exactly we can find the MCQs and where exactly we can find the PDF for the revision. So, my dear friends, what you can do, just go to the chapters. Go to the chapters on the top right corner, you will see the courses. Then just go to the all categories, go to the package. When you will open the package, you will see here that we have provided you the month of February. Month of February current affair chapter is here, and just click here and you will see. So we are providing you all these areas. The 5th to 9th February is already there, right? So just go there and try to revise the PDF and solve the quizzes. The daily quizzes, which includes this for 9th February quiz, 8th February, 7th February, 6th February, and the 5th February quiz here. Clear, everyone? So, are you guys feeling comfortable and empowered now after giving me all the answers to all these questions in the comment section? Please tell me in the chat box. Are you guys feeling good now after attending this session? Okay. So, my dear friends, अगर आपका कोई भी feedback है regarding this session, you can definitely tell me in the comment section. अब मैं मिलूंगा आपसे अगले session के अंदर tomorrow at the same time with the next week of the current affairs. Till then, stay happy, stay healthy. Wish you all happy learning.